So to clean up the backs and get these factory marks off of the back side of the chisel and make sure that this is nice and flat, we just go back to our low grit stones again and we work this flat. Circles remove waste a little bit faster. We're doing that since we're at 400. And move back and forth, keeping this nice and flat. I don't have to get the whole chisel, I really only have to get the top third, really. Making sure that this is flat, that's all we're doing. Clean that off, see how we're doing. We're getting close. I switched to a paintbrush for my water because my hands are getting really pruny. So I just went through each of the grits again, like in the last segment on the back side, just to make sure that this is flat, get the factory marks off of it, and that's pretty much good enough. Just make sure you don't progress through the stones too fast, especially if you're first time doing it. You want to really make sure that you get the back of the chisel good and flat so you get a nice sharp edge. So the last step that we're going to move to is going to be, actually 2 more steps. We're going to be putting a second bevel on this, a micro bevel, which some people, woodworkers, say is not necessary. I like it. I'm going to put it on there, and then we're going to strop this, and this thing will be ready to go. And hopefully, because we learned from our mistakes, this process will go a lot faster with the next chisel. I'm hoping maybe like 20 minutes tops. Okay, so let's move over to getting that micro bevel on. So to set this micro bevel, it's pretty simple. We get a real steep angle on our honing guide. Go back to the beginning of our stones. Get our water ready. Let me move this up close next to me. And just to see what we're doing here as a visual, we're going to take our Sharpie, put a line just at the top, see how much that takes off. Wet stone, same as before, let the stone do the work. It's going to really dig in a little bit at first because it's setting that bevel. I'm only going forward this time. It's also a little rough because it's taking off some of the burr that was created when we flattened the back. Okay, we've done a few passes, so let's break this away and see. We're going to keep it in the jig, but let's see where we are with our mark. Okay, so it's getting there. Really sharp. So for our final step, we are going to take our chisel and we are going to strop this. So stropping is using a buffing compound, which is going to be a micro abrasive, which is very, very fine, and it is just going to really just hone and fine tune the rest of our chisel so it's super, super sharp, and then we can test it. So in order to do that, all I need is a piece of leather. Okay, this is just a piece of leather that I got off of the internet, Amazon, eBay. You can find rolls of this. It's got a rougher side on one side and a smooth finished side on the other. I am going to be using the finished side, but I'm not going to be using this piece because I use this for another purpose. So what I'm going to do is I have a roll right here. This is one that I just bought. It just came in the mail, and I'm going to cut a piece however long I want, maybe about 6 inches or so. I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to rub it with my green buffing compound. Okay, so I'm going to do that now and get this process. At some point I will take this piece and mount it on a piece of wood just to give me a nice stable surface, something similar to what I was using for my stones. So I'm just taking my green buffing compound, just like a crayon, just rubbing that on, getting that on the smooth side. Okay, then try to get this as flat as possible. Take my chisel and I'm just going to pull backwards, trying to catch my bevel. I don't want to go forwards because I'll probably catch the leather and possibly cut right through it. Right now I'm just doing the main bevel, and I'll go nice and easy and try to get the micro bevel in a second. Just clean that up a little bit as I go to keep it even. Very careful here, don't want to cut my finger. Just pulling firm with a little bit of pressure. It's taking off some of the excess compound, which will be good for the next chisel that I do. It will make it a nice even surface to work against. Alright, this is starting to look really good. And there is chisel number one. I think I did a pretty good job. I'm going to test this in a second. But the micro bevel in particular looks really sharp. My main bevel looks, I'm going to say okay. I'm not going to say that this is an A+. I don't think I did a pro job on this, but I think it's going to work for my purposes. And I think I'm going to get much better and much faster as I work on the rest of these chisels. So overall, I'm okay with this. I'm going to test it out right now and see how I did before I move on. And I'll add a little clip once I'm all done with these and see how the last one came out, see if there's any improvement. So let's do a test run. All right, so here we go. This is the real test. I have got a scrap block of cherry, which is a pretty hard wood, much harder than the pine that I'm going to be using for my project. I've got my freshly sharpened chisel here, and we're going to see how this turned out. Just very super light pressure on this. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at this. These are micro ribbons right here, super fine. That means it's cut and sharp. I still have to work on my chiseling technique though. I got to be careful with grain and gouging into it too much. Look at this. Oh, these are great. Okay, one more test. So, if this is really sharp, it should, in theory, be able to shave hair. So, my lighting's not great, but let me see if I can move this, get into a little bit more shadow. Let's try this. It might be tough for you to see this, but this is cutting hair. Let's see if I can get in there. Real close. I know it's taking some dry skin, but there's definitely some hair on that. And that means that this razor is sharp. So, I'm okay with this. It's sharp enough to cut hair, which means it's definitely sharp enough to cut wood. I'm going to get to work on the other 5. I think I've learned enough about this process to improve my technique and really cut down on the amount of time this is going to take. So I'm going to finish these other 5. I'm going to show you the finished set when I'm all done, and I will see you in a little bit. It's close to dinner time, so when I come back, it might be a new day, and I might be wearing a different shirt. So I will see you when I can. Okay, so I had every intention of finishing every chisel the same way by going through the progression of the stones, but I learned from doing that first one and a little bit of trial and error that a couple stones seem to work better than others. So this red 3000 seemed to work pretty good compared to the other levels. It seems like it's dense, it takes off a good amount of steel, and it doesn't seem to flake away and turn to mud like these lower grits do. Also, like I was saying, I do have my DMT Coarse Stone still, which is you know, this is a quality stone. I just don't have the other two medium and fine grits to use for my own purposes. But this has been the best coarse stone that I have in my collection. I also grabbed another stone that I have. It's not one of my good ones. This is an Arkansas, I think, blue stone. I'm not positive. I got this from midway.com. It was on sale. I think this was only like 25 or 30 bucks. It's got some good weight to it. It's a big stone. It's bigger than my other ones. And it's supposed to be a finishing stone. I don't really use it with my razors. I just haven't gotten a good finish with it. But with these chisels, I did a second one, and instead of going back through the progression of my low quality stones, I did a progression starting with my DMT Coarse, moving on to my Amazon Chinese 3000 red here, and then my Arkansas blue, and I got a really good edge on the second chisel that I worked on. It's shinier, the bevel seems more finished, and I'm going to try this again in a different set of light here, but I'm about to lose all my hair because I've been practicing too much. But this has just been taking off hair like it's nothing. I mean, this is a razor finish. I'm completely bald on this side of my arm right now because this thing is just razor sharp, and I'm really happy with this. So rather than waste my time and go through this progression over hours, I'm gonna chalk this up as a bit of a loss. Now, if these stones are all you can afford to get started, I wouldn't say it's the worst decision in the world. They'll work. It's going to take you some time, and you're probably going to get frustrated, and hopefully you don't give up sharpening your chisels properly. But my advice is skip these. Save up the money for a good set. You can look up the info. There's some really good sets out there. I can throw a couple of ideas out there too, but for me, garage sale, cheap Amazon set, on sale at midway.com. This whole collection probably cost me 50 bucks, and I'm getting a razor sharp finish on my chisels. If I had to do it all over again, I would save the money, spend it on good stones, which I'll try to add a link to. So I'm going to finish this up, come back once again at the end when all the chisels are done, and give you a quick recap. So I'll see you then. Let's recap. The challenge was, can we get a professional quality finish on our chisels using budget stones bought off of Amazon? I think that we can definitively say yes. Yes, we can. This set of Von Haus chisels seem to hold up pretty well to the test. I'm pleased with how every single one of these turned out. All 6 of them I have gotten to a razor finish. All 6 of them can shave hair off of my arm, so that's my quality test. Time will tell if they hold up over time with use. So my next project is going to actually use the chisels, and I'll have another video on that. We'll see how these hold up and how they perform. But as far as the stones go, we can get a razor sharp finish using budget stones. However, it's not easy, and I certainly don't recommend it. This red 3000 was really the only good performer in the group. The low grit seemed to be quite useless, and frankly, the best part of this set seems to be the bamboo base. This particular brand is no longer available on Amazon, but like I said, there are plenty of knockoffs, low budget companies that you can find that will basically give you the same product. Using my other materials, this DMT Coarse Blue was a great performer. I was really pleased with this, how this held up as my first stone. And this Midway.com Arkansas stone also did a pretty good job, although I think I could probably do better with another choice. So, personally, in the future, I am going to invest in a full set of these DMTs. This comes in a 3-stone set for about $100. They come in a coarse, medium, and fine. I'm gonna, and the stones are larger. They're a 3x6 as opposed to about whatever this is, a 2x5. I'm gonna purchase those. I'll do a review on those, see how they turned out. I think that that's gonna be a winner. As I said earlier, I would skip the budget stones. Don't even waste your time. I also mentioned that I would talk about my my good stones that I own, that I use for razors, that I don't use for my tools because I'm afraid of damaging the stones. What I have is a 320 grit Norton. Excuse me, no, this is my Sharpening. 320 grit Sharpening. This is my coarse stone in blue. I've got a 1000 grit Sharpening as well in orange. Really like these, really happy with them. And lastly, I have a Norton double grit 4000 and 8000 for finishing. When I do use this for my razors, I do end up taking another step or two. I take it to a Belgian cuticule as well as a strop to finish that off. But if you're using this for tools or knives, this is going to get them super sharp. So that's what I use for my high quality set. Give you some options, give you some stuff to practice on. The important thing is know your tools, know your equipment, see what works best for you. Probably not going to get it right on the first try. This certainly isn't my first try. I've done this before and I'm still fumbling through it, but I feel that now I've got a good enough process where I can confidently go to my DMT, my Redstone, and my Arkansas and get a really good finish on my tools with what I already have. I am also going to upgrade, like I said, to a good quality DMT set, and I will let you know how that goes in a future video. So, I know I had done a lot of talking on this one. Thanks for hanging in there. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and feel free to reach out to me with any comments or questions, and I will see you next time. Thanks a lot. Take care.